Well, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is the latest game from Insomniac Games, creators of Marvel's Spider-Man, the PlayStation exclusive, and this one is another iteration on the fast-paced action and adventure games that Insomniac have been producing in recent years. You know, whether you're new to the Ratchet & Clank series or a seasoned veteran, this one is bound to bring a smile to your face through its thoroughly enjoyable gameplay. You know, Rift Apart is simply a stunning game, there's no question about that. You know, since the game was revealed in the summer of 2021, it's been demonstrating the power of the PlayStation 5 very well, feeling like you're almost playing a Pixar movie. You know, this is a demo of what video games could be, and it lives up to that promise of what next generation can deliver. Yeah, Spider-Man Miles Morales looked great, but this is a whole different kettle of fish, and it's specifically made for the PlayStation 5. Rift Apart is the latest in the Ratchet & Clank series, so if you're new to the series, then Ratchet is a Lombax, and he's got a little buddy called Clank, who's a tiny robot. Ratchet & Clank are a heroic tag team who across a series of games have saved the world from the evil Dr. Nefarious, and also other baddies too. And as far as the story goes in Rift Apart, Ratchet & Clank, they're celebrating their latest victory, and Clank presents Ratchet with a gift called the Dimensionator. This is a device that can open up portals into other dimensions. However, things take a turn for the worse when Dr. Nefarious steals it and escapes to a dimension where he always wins. And much like other Ratchet & Clank games, it's your job to save the world once again. So diving through the holes to new dimensions is the key game mechanic, and videos and clips don't really do this mechanic justice, as experiencing the dimension jump for the first time is one of those wow moments that is only really made possible due to the power of the PlayStation 5. So we've seen this mechanic in other games before, you know, either time skipping or traversing into new environments really quickly, but we've never really seen anything before on this scale. So Insomniac have plenty of practice over the last few years with Spider-Man in terms of creating fast-paced action adventures, and lots of that is on show here. Now, the story doesn't really matter that much, it's standard hero save the world stuff, but the package that's been put together by the team is really something to be experienced firsthand. So we've got Ratchet & Clank in one dimension, and we've also got Rivet and Kit in others. So Rivet and Kit, they're new characters, and through dimension hopping, Clank ends up with Rivet, and Ratchet ends up hunting for his little buddy with the help of Kit. Now, the story doesn't really have a huge amount of substance, but it is a feel-good tale, and again, it's similar to a Pixar movie arc. Talking of Pixar movies, let's talk about the graphics just for a little bit, and they really do knock your socks off. You're going to be slack-jawed looking at the screen for most of the game. So you've got a 4K ray tracing mode at 30 frames per second, plus you've got the performance mode at 60 frames per second, and both look and perform beautifully well. But if you've got the hardware that caters for that visual treat, I definitely would recommend playing it at 60 frames per second with the ray tracing on. So the animation is fantastic, and the worlds are big and vibrant, and you'll often pop between the two worlds very fast, instantly loading in a whole new scene with buildings, characters, and all sorts of environmental NPCs. Yeah, in terms of the levels, then the gameplay is split between the main Lombax heroes, so you've got Ratchet and Rivet, and gameplay is pretty much on rails and plays like a Ratchet & Clank game of the past, which means plenty of platforming, shooting, and fast-paced action. You're going to make your way through the worlds, often switching between the two heroes at a moment's notice, gathering resources, and one of the most important to collect is Raritanium, which are going to help you upgrade your weapons. And you're going to want to do this as you progress, the weapons get crazier and even more overpowered as you level up, and they're really going to help you out. And Rift Apart can get tricky in places with the difficulty scaling up quickly as you progress, so having the right tools for the job is very important. So as you make your way through the planets, killing smaller enemies and collecting materials, you'll build up towards the final set piece of the level, which will either be a chase sequence or a massive boss fight. There's nothing really groundbreaking about these encounters. You know, we've been doing these kinds of things for years. However, the execution and the sense of fun is a really good example for all the other developers out there. So this has the gloss of fully optimized PlayStation 5 performance, as well as showing off all of Insomniac's ability to create an exciting action and adventure game, and showing off the PlayStation 5's hardware and capabilities too. So sometimes the game does veer into tech demo territory, much like other early generation games of the past, thinking of Killzone specifically. You know, this is different though because the game is actually really good. Dimension hopping has been front and center of the marketing campaign, so you get out the little device, create a wormhole, jump through, and instantly the environment will change around you. This is the primary reason why it's a PlayStation 5 game only, so the PlayStation 4 just couldn't handle what could be done on the modern hardware. So the dimension hopping is really impressive, but the environments are equally impressive too, filled with loads of enemies and NPCs, so this is one of the busier games I've seen, related to simply how many characters are on screen at once. So as well as the action sequences, you've also got these smaller, slightly less heart-pounding puzzles. There's hidden portals to find little pocket dimensions. You often find yourself trying to figure out what order to hit the switches in, and also other puzzles of a similar style. So these are like mini Zelda shrines, and offer a nice respite from the fast-paced action. And that's not to say the action isn't welcome, because it is, and Insomniac often look like they're flexing their well-toned action game muscles to full effect. You know, you're going to crash and hurtle and bang through big set pieces, often in Rift Apart, and the game likes to throw as much debris as possible in your way. Well, there's plenty of particle effects and other PS5 jargon flying around at you constantly, which makes the gameplay loads of fun and very memorable too. The weapons in the game are really great fun, with plenty of variety on offer. However, one criticism I would have is that I ran out of ammo quite often, which felt a little limiting in what I could do. You know, I'd get into a flow with a weapon and then I'd run out of ammo, and that would interrupt the flow of gameplay, and it did happen quite often. A couple of my favourite weapons include the lightning rod, which, as you can imagine by the description, shoots electricity. You can also chain enemies together with the lightning. There's a couple of different styles as well. You'll generally have guns or weapons that you can throw, but do conserve ammo though, as running out can be quite frustrating. So gameplay is switched up every now and again, and there's this great moment where Ratchet gets rocket boots attached. You end up skating quickly across a massive environment while trying to locate this huge building while it's making its escape on massive legs. There's neat little sections where you have to solve computer viruses with a little metallic helper who creeps inside the computers to smash the computer virus bugs. And this mode plays with perspective, plus the haptic feedback on the controller is turned up to 11. And I also really enjoyed the puzzles with Clank and Gary. We have to direct a stream of Clank ghosts in a certain direction and open up the pathway to allow Clank to escape. There's a really good mix of gameplay styles, and Insomniac have done a really great job. One of the things I really appreciate about the game is it's not too long, you know, coming in at roughly around 12 hours for a single playthrough, and about 15 hours if you want to find all the secrets. You know, not all games have to be 60 hours, and I feel like this really respects my time. And I'm not saying I don't want more, because the gameplay is so fluid and fun, I probably do want more. However, in my life at the moment, this is the perfect size game for me, and I've just been given enough and I'm left wanting more, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It doesn't feel padded out or repetitive, so really it's the Goldilocks of games by getting it just about right. So Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart looks like it could have come from the future to demonstrate what current gen consoles could do in a few years' time, and it's great to see games embracing the capabilities of new consoles and showing off exactly what they can do. So this is a game that struts with confidence, and checking out videos and streams doesn't really do the visuals justice. It's not just it's good looking, the story is well formed and flows with ease, and the fluidity of the movement of the action is hands down some of the best you're going to play, and the sheen and the quality shines through with every level and encounter. If you've got a PS5, this one is a must-buy title. So the developer was Insomniac Games. It's published by Sony Interactive. It's out on the PlayStation 5 and was originally released on the 11th of June 2021. Well, that is it for my review of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. See you soon.